Good morning, Leanne, and definitely, and that's why it would come as a shocker that over 40% of South Africans have been identified to not be washing their hands, because COVID-19 did definitely bring awareness around that. But Dettol will today launch its campaign called Mzansi Protect in collaboration with other stakeholders, that being the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as well as the Springboks, in their launch to try and raise awareness of hand washing and the importance of hand washing across the country as the world is about to observe a Global Hand Washing Day on the 15th of October. But I am joined now by the Head of Corporate Communications, Masibonge Mkhize, who's going to speak to us about the importance of this campaign. Thank you so much for joining us. Masibonge, can you elaborate further about the launch of this campaign? You have told me off camera that this is your first major launch. Just the significance and the importance of such a campaign in the country right now.
It's definitely an opportune time for us to be actually working towards a better South Africa for all. And what's quite important for us as Dettol South Africa, as Reckitt South Africa, is that we acknowledge that the right to healthy hygiene should be a right and not a privilege. And that is why today we stand proudly to say that we want to be protecting South Africa through our Mzansi Protect. It's very iconic that, as a company that has got such a strong brand such as Dettol, we are able to now take together the nation on a journey for a better, healthier nation. And I think what's quite important is that whilst we observe Global Hand Washing Day, we recognize that it's very important that we galvanize the right partners to anchor this, to reach far and wide in South Africa. The importance of hand washing can save lives, and that is something that we have acknowledged through the last 2 years. And we've learned that through that little simple act from a young age to an adult, it will make an impactful, life-changing moment in teaching you how to better take care of your loved ones, and most importantly, protect them. And that is why, as Dettol South Africa, we do believe that by doing this journey, by going on this journey, highlighting the issues that lie beneath this journey, is that, diarrhea is still a big concern in South Africa. It's one of the leading causes of death in South Africa for children under the age of 5. And we want to make sure that as a responsible brand, as a responsible company, Reckitt, we are acknowledging the moment that we have through Global Hand Washing Day, but most importantly, protecting the loved ones in South Africa.
Can you speak more to the collaboration with yourselves and the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as well as the Springboks? Why it was important to bring them on board with such a project?
Indeed, I think one thing that really stands out is Utata himself was a believer of ensuring that we do the right thing for the most underserved communities in South Africa and internationally. I think what's quite important is that Nelson Mandela Foundation does not just come off the bat of what we know as a nation, what we hold as our pride and joy, but also the importance of being able to go into early childhood development centers. Through the ECDs at Nelson Mandela Foundation, we'll be able to reach 2,000 ECDs where we can teach the basic needs of hand hygiene to children of the ages of between 3 and 5. And as I've indicated, this is a critical age in order to protect a child. Not only that, our Springboks, those guys are needed to be protected on and off the field. It's very important that we acknowledge this partnership, because these players at the end of the day are themselves fathers. And we believe that this message not only is relevant for mothers or caregivers, but also fathers are likely to be also the most important carriers of messaging. And we don't want to leave anyone behind in carrying this message. We want to make sure that we reach every single household in South Africa with every single support that we can possibly have. And that is why we've brought such credible partners, and credible partners such as the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as well as the South African Rugby Union through the Springboks, really do deliver this for us. And we also jointly do that in collaboration and not alone.
And what can we expect in the upcoming days? We know that Global Hand Washing Day is observed on the 15th. What will you be doing as Reckitt South Africa on the ground, ensuring visibility with regard to the campaign and just reaching the masses with regard to the education? How will you be going about educating these young ones about the importance of this?
So first and foremost, we'll be launching a schools program that allows us to go into these ECDs as well as school programs in South Africa in collaboration with various stakeholders in government, to ensure that we are able to take the education into schools. The hand hygiene habits program that we've developed as part of our real anchoring message to ensure that the children are able to learn the 6 steps that are concerning hand washing, but most importantly, ensuring that we actually go into the areas that we ourselves cannot reach alone. When I speak of those areas, it's those underserved communities. It's those communities that currently today need it the most. Not only that, we will also ensure in the next couple of days that we actually will be going into the Baragwanath Hospital, where we will be joined by a couple of stakeholders in government in order again to acknowledge the work that is being done in clinics, in hospitals, to equip moms at a young age to ensure that they look after their infant and their children correctly, because we understand that is also quite an important moment of truth when a new mom is learning how to look after her child, and the importance of hand hygiene to again combat diarrhea and make sure that they are carrying the right educational and awareness that they need in order to better equip them as mothers. So we will be going into those 2 spaces in the next couple of days.
And going back with these numbers, the 42% that we're seeing of South Africans not washing their hands, have you been able to identify what these challenges are that we're facing as a country? Is it issues of access? Is it an issue of education? What are the issues that stand in the way of those numbers?
I think the reality is that we cannot take for granted that our government has done a lot in order to, try and mitigate some of these access issues. However, what really is underpinning all of this is the water and sanitation and hygiene sits together. Now, we understand that in some communities we are a dry country, and with the reality of being a water scarce country, this does impact our water flow in general as a country in South Africa. We do believe that we have a responsibility as Reckitt to not only leave this up to the government, but also to work together in collaboration with them to try and build about the right infrastructure, but also galvanize partners that can enable us to go into these communities that need the infrastructure. This could be in a form of a Jojo tank, this could be in form of a borehole, in order to activate the water that we need, in order for us to actually ensure that people are washing their hands with soap and water, because we cannot do this on our own. And I think that's quite important for us to acknowledge the importance of what we as Dettol South Africa and Reckitt South Africa can do, and what we can do together through a stronger partnership with our government as well as the right stakeholders on board.
And you emphasize on the importance of soap and water. We know that during COVID, a lot of people were making use of the alternative of hand sanitizer, for example. But the importance of soap and water specifically, some might argue that, saving water and using water sparingly, but the importance of actually using soap and water for hand washing and good hygiene.
So the importance of soap and water is unmatched. The reality is that once you use those 2 things, the reality is that we have got germs on our hands all the time. And the one way to truly, truly remove them is through washing with hand soap and obviously with water. And it's very important that we don't take this for granted. It's probably the most cost-effective way of ensuring that you are actually safe and you're keeping your loved ones safe at that as well. So that is how we see it, and that is how we believe that we should be telling South Africans that today, ensure that you are protecting your loved ones by the simple act of hand washing. Ensure that you're using water and soap when you do so. And most importantly, do that thoroughly, do that often, do that in all the different occasions. After going to the toilet, before eating, we know this, and we've seen what it can do in order for us to be protected.
And lastly, the program is meant to begin now at 8 o'clock. What can we expect? We know that there will be a keynote delivered by a representative from the NICD, but can you speak to us more about the program today, what we can expect?
So today's program, as I've mentioned, is about unveiling the underpinning purpose of Dettol South Africa, which is Mzansi Protect, where 2 of our programs, the Mothers Program as well as the Schools Program, will be unveiled, as together we will be sharing our partners who have come on board to say, yes, we want to stand with you. We want to make sure that children in South Africa through early childhood development centers are protected. We want to stand with you to ensure that we carry the message in different households through the Reckitt SA. So we truly believe that today's occasion will not only highlight some of the issues, but it will also show us that we are able to do this together as South Africans, and we can only do that if we come together as a nation. And it's very important that we acknowledge that we can only do that as a business through our great partnerships and through the work that we can do together with South Africans on the ground, and sometimes our health workers that we work closely with through the hospitals.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Masibonge Mkhize, who is the head of corporate communications of Reckitt South Africa, speaking to us about the launch of today's program, meant to begin around 8 o'clock this morning in collaboration with Springbok South Africa as well as the Nelson Mandela Foundation, who I will be speaking to a little later about the launch of this program.